Most people think a website is simple. You type a name, you press enter, the site appears. But that tiny moment, that 1 to 2 seconds, there's a whole digital chain reaction happening behind the scenes. And if you understand this chain, you'll understand why hosting matters. So let's slow it down. Let's say someone types yourbusiness.co.ke and presses enter. First thing that happens, your browser doesn't magically know where that website lives. Websites don't live in names, they live on servers. Servers have IP addresses, numbers. So step one is this. The browser asks a question. Where is this domain located? And that question goes to something called DNS. DNS is basically the internet's phone book. Instead of remembering 192.168.0.1 type numbers, we use names like yourbusiness.co.ke. DNS translates the name into an IP address. Now, here's the part people ignore. If your DNS is slow, your website feels slow, even before your server loads anything. That's why proper DNS configuration matters. Now, once the browser gets the IP address, it now knows where your website is hosted. Next step, it sends a request to that server. Think of it like knocking on a door. Hey, someone wants this homepage. Now your server wakes up and says, okay, let me build that page. If your site is static, it sends files. If it's WordPress or dynamic, it pulls data from a database, processes PHP, loads scripts, calls images, assembles everything. All of that happens in milliseconds. But here's where hosting becomes critical. If your server is underpowered or overloaded or shared with too many noisy neighbors, that door knock response slows down. Instead of responding in 200 milliseconds, it responds in 2 seconds. That delay? That's bounce rate. Now let's go deeper. After the server sends the data back, your browser doesn't just show it instantly. It now has to read the HTML, download CSS, execute JavaScript, fetch images, load fonts, secure the connection with SSL. Every single one of those is another mini request. So when someone types your domain, it's not one action, it's dozens, sometimes hundreds of requests happening in sequence. And each one depends on server speed, server location, resource allocation, infrastructure stability. Now imagine this scenario. You're on weak hosting. DNS is slow. Server response is slow. Resources are shared aggressively. What happens? The chain reaction becomes a traffic jam, and the user doesn't think, oh, maybe the DNS lookup was slow. No, they think, this site feels cheap, and perception becomes reality. Now flip it. Fast DNS, optimized server, SSD storage, proper resource isolation, stable uptime. The chain reaction becomes smooth. The request hits. The server responds instantly. Files load quickly. The page renders clean. User trusts you. All of that from typing a name. This is why hosting isn't just where my website lives. It's the foundation of that invisible process. Every single visit starts with DNS, travels through servers, depends on infrastructure, ends with user perception, and that entire journey happens in seconds. So the next time someone types your domain, understand this. They're not just visiting your site, they're testing your infrastructure. And if your hosting is solid, they'll never notice, which is exactly the point.